Hello folks, this is Sula speaking, and you're watching a commentary video on Final Fantasy V. This is part 9 of my Ironcore team variant, and we're picking up with the boss battle against Catastrophe in the Dimensional Castle. Catastrophe is a boss who's based on using an attack called Earthshaker. It does ground element, earth element damage that hits you. Fortunately, I protected myself against that by going into the battle with float status. You can see everybody's flying way up high in the air. That means that Catastrophe will have to ground us before he can hit us with this Earthshaker spell. So right there, we'll use an attack called Gravity 100, which knocks us down to the ground. But then when I cast Big Guard, it will put us back in float status again. And I actually wasn't even trying to do that. I wanted Big Guard just for its armor and shell status, but of course it put us back up in the air again with float. I actually wasn't even thinking about that at the time. In the meantime, my characters are going to use their most powerful spells. So Kara, who's actually masquerading as a Dragoon here because I'm trying to train up that job, she'll cast Holy, Lena will cast Meteo, and I got a very high damage roll on Meteo. I think Catastrophe has low magic resist, which is part of the reason why that happens. Bartz will attack, Ferris will also attack using the Chicken Knife. I'll continue to cast Holy. And you can see that I'm doing pretty good damage with all these spells. Lena's Meteo does the most damage. Bartz, because he's a ninja and is so fast, gets to attack more often, and that's it. Like I said, not a difficult boss. He was never able to get off even a single attack. Wasn't even able to ground us a second time with Gravity 100. So, easy boss if you have float status. He's not too tough. Ferris actually maxed out the Blue Mage job there, so she's now mastered that one. Next, I wanted to take on some of these other, you see these little old men walking around? They're actually a boss known as Ultaroit, which then will shift into the Jura Avis in a minute. These guys can use an attack called Circle, which just removes one of your characters from the battle entirely. It's actually worse than killing you, because if you die, you can, of course, always revive the character with life, but if they're hit with Circle, there's nothing you can do. They're just gone for the rest of the battle. So, because there's a save spot in this same little area, I don't have to worry about magic points, and I have Lena start the battle with the Quick Flare combination. That eats up about 150 magic points, but it will instantly kill the Ultaroit enemy, so he'll shift into the Jura Avis. Why use Flare and not another spell? Well, the Ultaroit has very high magic defense, which means that you want a spell like Flare, which will pierce magic defense, ignore it. So that's why I went with Flare for there. And of course it worked out fine. He never even got a chance to attack, so I didn't have to worry about getting hit with Circle. Now we're on to the Jura Avis. This is a boss that looks just like Archeo Avis, and in fact has a very similar AI routine, so there's some recycling of bosses here. I meant to have Lena cast Haste 2 on everyone, instead I accidentally picked Haste just for Bartz, and so that's a bit of a mistake there. Lena gets hit with Maelstrom, which drops her down to almost no hit points. So now, finally, I can cast Haste 2. This is one battle where she does not have white magic, so instead I'm going to have Ferris heal up with White Wind, and that'll restore Lena back to where she wants to be in terms of HP. In the meantime, I continue to attack with my other characters. The Jura Avis is protected against fire, ice, lightning, and I think poison damage, possibly air. But is protected against a lot of different elements, but Holy is not one of them, so I'm able to continue casting the Holy spell. And so because of all that elemental protection, I'm once again going to use Flare here. I've mentioned in some of the previous videos how I like to use Fire 3 instead, but if the boss is protected against fire magic, Flare's the way to go. That takes out this particular enemy. There's actually 5 more of these guys, and I would in fact go through and wipe them all out using the save point for a cabin to restore magic points after each one. The next boss that you face very shortly thereafter is Halicarnassus, who poses as this innocent-looking woman at first, but then reveals her true self, and says so here in the little dialogue tree, King of the Dimensional Castle. Her big dangerous attack is a Holy spell that does very high damage. It will kill anyone that gets hit by it immediately. So you'll see later in the battle, I'll try to cast Wall to prevent that. Here I'm going to stop and wait after casting Haste. She will always start the battle with Kuru Kuru Kuru, which turns everyone into a frog. I guess they just left that untranslated from the Japanese. So, not really a danger, we'll just have everyone respond by using a Maiden's Kiss and turn them back into normal status again. Easily done. It's one of those things that if you know it's coming, you can respond and it won't be too dangerous. Bartz is using the Equipped Swords secondary ability as a ninja. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him master Knight before Ninja, so now he can have Excalibur in one hand and the Defense Sword in the other hand. And he can do a lot of damage. Good for battles like this where I don't need Magic Sword. Halicarnassus doesn't have any particular elemental strength or weakness, so I don't have to worry about that here. Lena is masquerading in the Beastmaster job because, again, I'm trying to get ability points for it, and I've already maxed out the Black Mage job. And honestly, I wasn't so worried about this battle that I felt I had to have her in some other more useful job. So she can attack and cast Time Magic, and that works pretty well. Bartz and Ferris do their standard attacks. Now here, because Kara's a summoner, naturally I figure, oh, I'll cast Summon Magic, I'll have her use her standard Soldier spell. What I had forgotten is that there's something in the code whereby Halicarnassus will react with an extremely high damage attack anytime that you use Summon Magic. Just Summon Magic, not anything else. So I'm not really sure why that is. It's kind of random, but I suppose I should have checked the code again. I should have seen that. I should have known that that was coming. So you'll see Bartz got taken out there, and not realizing what's going on, I will, of course, have Kara cast Summon Magic once again. Yet another time I'll use Sylidra, and so, of course, I'm going to get hit with the same counterattack again. But first I cast Ruby Light with Carbuncle, because I wanted to protect myself against any holy spell that might be coming my way. Here I have Lena cast Haste on Bartz, and I forget that I've just cast Carbuncle, and so I reflect Haste off of the wall, and now the boss is in Haste status. So once again, stupid me. I do make dumb mistakes often in these battles. Here is where I'm going to cast Soldier again, not knowing that that will inspire a huge counterattack. So once again, Soldier will do 3,000 damage, and once again, Halicarnassus will focus power, and poor Bartz gets hit with extremely high damage again. At this point in time, I'm starting to realize, hey, you know, something's going on here. Maybe, what am I doing wrong? I knew I was doing something incorrectly. Their Golem protected Bartz. The attack wouldn't have killed him, but it was helpful not to have him get hit just the same. So once again, we're coming around to Ferris, and of course me, not having learned my lesson, I was thinking about it, but then finally I'm like, you know what, maybe I won't cast Summon Magic, let's try Holy instead. I'm not having a lot of success when I use Summon Magic, and that will, of course, finish off the boss here. So we'll get the big flash effect, and she'll dissolve, and afterwards I looked back at the code again, and I saw the thing about Summon Magic, and I was like, oh, that was really stupid of me. Should have known better. Next, we're going to pick up with the battle against Twin Tanya. Twin Tanya gets this name, I believe, because he can do both the Bahamut and Leviathan trademark attacks. If you hit him with physical damage, he'll respond by using Tidal Wave, Leviathan's trademark attack. If you hit him with magic damage, he'll respond by using Mega Flare, Bahamut's trademark attack. So I have gone into this battle with every single character having a Coral Ring. I now have 4 of them, and so they will all be protected against any kind of Tidal Wave attack that might appear. So I can attack now without worrying about it. In the meantime, my other 3 characters are all buffing up with the standard spells that I use in every battle. Bartz has used Holy Sword because Twin Tanya is weak against Holy Element damage. Once again, he has the Double Lance plus Chicken Knife combo, so that's why he did 3 attacks there. And of course the last one is the one that does enormous damage. There, Twin Tanya uses Tidal Wave, but of course it doesn't do anything to my party except heal them because we're all protected. I actually have to have Lena parry because I need a wall protection before I can cast any kind of magic damage against Twin Tanya. I don't want him counterattacking with Mega Flare, so I give everybody wall status. Bartz, once again, will continue to attack. He'll do 999 damage every time that he uses the Chicken Knife. Poor Ferris, though, because I've given the Chicken Knife to Bartz, she can't really do much in terms of physical attack. Instead, I'm going to have her lean on her role as a Blue Mage and cast level 3 Flare, which, in fact, he can actually be hit by. So that means that Mega Flare gets the counterattack, and it reflects off everybody's wall and does 4,000 damage to Twin Tanya. So, would have been bad if I'd gotten hit by that. Now, the other big attack that Twin Tanya will do is, he'll eventually, in his AI routine, get around to doing an attack called Giga Flare, which does even more damage than Mega Flare. I wasn't sure if my party could survive that. There was a chance that they would just be killed by it. So instead, I'm going to kill him quickly, and I have Lena use the quick Holy combination, each Holy doing 9,000 damage, but I don't even get to the second one. He just dies prior to it, which disappointed me a little bit. I wanted to do the flashy quick combo with double Holy. Wasn't meant to be, though. The boss died sooner than that. And of course, that's why I brought Lena as a white mage for this battle, so that she could equip the Sage Staff, which increases Holy spell damage, and pull off that quick Holy combo. I wanted to have both white magic for Holy and time magic for haste and dimensional spells there. Finally, we're going to wrap up with a boss battle against Necrophobia. This is the last boss that you face before going up against Exdeath, the last boss in the game. He is different in the sense that he starts off the battle invulnerable. He has these 4 different barriers, and you actually cannot hurt Necrophobia at all until you take down the barriers. The barriers start out, well, actually are in permanent wall status, so you have to be careful about how you go after them. You can't cast a standard magic against them, or it'll just reflect off the wall. Now see there, Necrophobia is telling you that you can't hurt him, you can't defeat him, you have to take down his barriers first. Now, the great spell to use in this battle is Bahamut, because it will hit all of the barriers, and it will pierce through both their magic defense and that wall status that they're in. So, for example, I have to have Lena just parry there, because there's not much she can really do. She's there to heal when we take damage, and she's there to buff us up with haste status, but she can't cast Holy, her 1 attack spell, because it will just bounce off the walls that they have. The barriers themselves will also cast Holy and Flare, which would do a lot of damage, except that we are all protected by shell status. When I go through and play this game with solo characters, you can imagine this is much more difficult because all of the barriers, all the barrier spells are hitting one character instead of spacing out the damage across 4 people. It's all hitting the same person over and over again. Also, many of the characters in this game do not have access to shell status, which means that you'll be taking 1,000 damage from each one of these instead of taking about 500 damage. So unless you have 4,000 or more hit points, you're kind of out of luck if you're just here as a solo character. Anyway, as far as this battle goes, Kara can start using the Bahamut summon, which does predictable damage, very high damage. Ferris has the chicken knife, so there's no guarantee that she won't get the flee effect when she attacks, but I'm just chancing it. She has come as a thief for this battle for reasons that you'll see later. I want to steal something later on in this battle. Bartz has used Fire 3 Sword. Now that doesn't do anything against the barriers themselves, but it will be useful against Necrophobia, so I just prepared ahead of time for that part of the battle. Right now, Fire 3 Sword isn't doing anything because the barriers have no elemental strengths or weaknesses. That takes out the first 2. Now I'm concentrating on the back 2. Once again, there's not a whole lot that Lena can do. I decided I'll just sit here and wait for the barrier to cast its next spell. Maybe a mistake there. I might have been better off just trying to kill the barrier before it could get off that spell. But Lena likes to feel useful too. And she uses a Cure 2 that heals up Bartz there. No need for a Cure 3 yet. Bartz attacks, Ferris attacks, but this time she gets the flee effect for the chicken knife. That's why I usually like to use the capture, which will eliminate that. I could have used Bahamut to finish off the last barrier, but I figured, well, it's only got about 1,000 hit points left. That seems like kind of a waste. Now we're waiting for Necrophobia, and as soon as he gives you the dialogue tree there about his barriers being down, now you can hurt him. Before that, you actually can't hurt him, even after the barriers are gone. So now we'll have a taste of his real power. Well, let's see what his real power looks like. Right there, you got a can't run message. Now, Necrophobia is weak against all elements. All 8 elements in the game he's weak against. So I switch over to Sildra, which will do high damage. Now I can have Lena cast Quick, followed by double Holy, as I was trying to do in the last battle, but didn't manage to get around to. Holy Element, one of the 8 elements in this game. Necrophobia is weak against it. Lena has the Sage Staff, which increases Holy Element damage, which is why she's doing 9,000 damage-ish with her Holy spells. You can imagine Quick Holy Holy does a cool 18,000 or so damage. Pretty good for a white mage, whose otherwise role is to heal. And Bartz, of course, with his Fire 3 Sword, does 9,999 damage. He's double gripping, I think, the Enhancer Sword, which is the best one that a Magic Knight can use. Bartz had already maxed out his jobs, which is why he's back in the Magic Knight there. And Gilgamesh shows up in the battle and tells you that he's going to help you out because he doesn't like Necrophobia for some reason. You can read the dialogue that's going across at the top. Now, this dialogue plays out for a very long time. It actually goes on for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to cut out some of that because, frankly, it's not that interesting. You can look it up yourself if you're really curious. Now, the reason why I brought Ferris as a thief in the battle, you'll see right here, is so I can steal the Genji armor from Gilgamesh when he shows up. And right now, we'll skip dialogue and go right to the end of the fight. Necrophobia tells Gilgamesh to die and cast Flare against him. Necrophobia turns and starts attacking Gilgamesh. We've essentially already won the battle while we get to this point. Gilgamesh says, "That's my line," and he responds by using Exploder. and he will blow himself up and finish off Necrophobia. I kind of could have finished off Necrophobia myself. I almost wanted to say thanks, but no thanks, Gilgamesh. We've kind of got this one well in hand. You know, you don't need to worry about it. Did you see us doing those 9999 damage attacks? But I guess it's the thought that counts. And so, for defeating Necrophobia, we get the last save point right before the last boss battle. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Check back soon for the last battle.